like YPO, there's some limits there based on your income and your net worth, et cetera. But I'm trying to remember some of the other names, but nothing against those. I tested a few of them out, and I found that.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Okay, and then John, regarding masterminds and the power of the mastermind, I remember when I started my business again, like everybody else. So most of the story of everyone is you start to solve the problem for yourself, and then you start to offer to other people. In my case, I want to save the money for the rent, so then I rented the first property, and then we were renting it again, and was saving the money for the rent, and then we start to offer to other people. So and then this business I started, then I had the team, and then the team sent me home, and in that process I thought that I invented my business. I thought that nobody was doing this that I was doing. That's how lonely I was. And then I arrived to a property mastermind where I realized that, number one, it was a lot of strategies in properties that I didn't know about it, and it was like loads of different strategies. And number two, I discovered that I didn't invent my business. A lot of people were doing my business, and actually a lot of people were doing way bigger and better than me. And I find that in the mastermind. So what is your opinion about masterminds, and why do you think that entrepreneurs should be trying to find a peer group that actually understand the problems? I always tell the story that my dad, he came to help out in my property business, and he was giving me advice, and he was telling me, Harry, but you don't listen my advice. And then somebody from the mastermind come, property investor, and give me the same advice. And then I was doing it, and then my dad was telling me, well, you don't listen to me, and why you listening to him? And say, well, Dad, the difference is that you never run a business, and this person is already a property millionaire. And I get it that whatever you was telling me before makes sense and logic to you, but in my decision process, I have to give more priority when I receive an advice from my mastermind group. And if it's the same that you gave me, well, congratulations, you're a visionary. But I need to to listen advice from what we call it. People have to be qualified to give you advice. That's what I think. It's not that I don't listen. I listen everyone, but when I take a decision, I'm always looking how qualified is that person giving that advice, and that make a big input in my decision making process. And I think that I found in this mastermind a group of people that I could talk to, and I can receive advice. And definitely it was a big my business grow really fast just because the relationship we have in mastermind. So how you end up in the mastermind in the first place, and what is your opinion about it?
So in this case, when I mentioned my current business partner, it was I guess say somewhat casual, right? It was just a friend that we developed a friendship, had a similar business, and so we just had a recurring calendar invite where we would just hop on a call and chat. And so his qualifications were clear. He had scaled up the largest real estate team in Canada, and we were the largest in the US. So it made sense to connect. But I candidly, I haven't done any of the kind of the curated mastermind groups. I know there's some valuable ones out there. Like YPO, there's some limits there based on your income and your net worth, et cetera. But I'm trying to remember some of the other names, but nothing against those. I tested a few of them out, and I found that I probably got put in a bad group. Like, for example, with one of them, I went and did like 2 or 3 meetings, and one guy was running a private school, the other was a recruiting firm, and I'm running a residential real estate business. And so we were all at different stages, and it's like their problems weren't the same as my problems. And so nice people, but I just didn't get value from it. To your point, you have to be qualified. So frankly, my mastermind and my consultant approach, if you will, are all these books behind me.
Oh, wow.
I'm a big reader. And, I read 40 plus books, sometimes 50 plus books a year. And I read. I don't, do the Audible thing. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but I know for myself, if I really want to ingest the information, I need to pick up the book and read it. And so, I'm always reading about different, whether it's a biography of successful entrepreneurs. One of my favorites is Shoe Dog, about Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. Teaches you a lot about tenacity and just never giving up. The founder of Blackstone Private Equity Group, I think his name's Steven Schwarzman, incredible book. And so I look for those types of books, and then I look for the practical ones, how to build a syndication business, for example. So a guy named Joe Fairless wrote a really great book called The Best Ever Real Estate and Syndication Book. And so before I started this business, I read that book alongside Mark Faris and tried to pull out as much information as possible. So, I get a little cautious, especially online. There's a lot of what I would call the charlatans, people trying to sell get rich quick schemes and, buy my proven system and you'll become a multimillionaire. What I would encourage you to do, if you're thinking about, say, for example, investing in real estate, go read like The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller, and read books about real estate investing. And you can learn so much there. There's no magic bullet, right? Or, silver bullet or magic pill, if you will. The only way you'll become successful in any venture in any part of your life is with, purpose and discipline and focus and tenacity. I mean, just wake up every day and attack that problem. And so that's where I think you can find so much out there. I mean, there's a book on anything and everything. And I think my view is that in order to get a book published, it's got to go past a lot of people, right? And there's got to be an audience for that book. And so versus paying somebody you found online on Instagram or whatever, maybe they catch your curiosity and you're like, that sounds cool. Well, then go Google search books on that topic and go find books. You can always go back to the consultant, and there's many really great consultants. I've worked with many executive coaches over my career. For example, I worked with a guy, Brett Hinion at Corporate Consulting, who taught us how to hire properly, and the 4 or 5 step interview process that I use to this day, he taught me. But so much can be learned effectively for free, right? Because you can go down to the library, and rent the book. Or, by the way, I don't know. I know you're in Miami now, but Goodwill in the United States, if you go to their book section, it is filled with books on entrepreneurship and best, self-improvement, because a lot of people buy the books and never read them, and then they end up at Goodwill. So even if you're young and you don't have a lot of money, man, the library, Goodwill, spend $10, $20 on a book, and you'll learn more there than any consultant can teach you with a get rich quick scheme that they find online. That's my take. That may be somewhat controversial, but I'd say pick up a book, man. That's your best friend. That's your best mastermind. Learn from others.
Excellent, John. If somebody is in love with our conversation, how people can find you, how this process work?
Yeah. So Faris Capital Partners, that's FARIS, capitalpartners.com. You can go on there. My contact information's on there. I love talking real estate investing, entrepreneurship. You can reach out. We'll schedule in a time to talk. If you're curious about, how we, double equity for our investors in 5 years, you can fill a form out, get on our newsletter, and be up to date on our newest deal. In fact, we have an LOI out this week and one going out next week, a letter of intent on 2 properties. So, our next investment is right around the corner. But if you just want to connect and talk entrepreneurship, feel free to reach out at fariscapitalpartners.com.
Excellent. And with that note, see you, all of you, in the next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneur like John break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.